18th, 2021. Our invocation this evening will be offered by Lori Dean Wiley, member of Epic Church. If you would please stand for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Gracious and Heavenly Father, I just want to thank you for this universe, for this life, for this city, for these people. Lord, I just ask that you in your infinite wisdom continue to guide us, the council, and citizens as we make decisions that will move this city forward. Lord, I just ask that you just continue to show us that you're in control and allow us to have grace with one another. It's in your name I pray. Amen.
Madam City Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Councilmembers Huff.
Here.
Perkins.
Here.
Stewart.
Here.
Delucci.
Here.
Steinmeier.
Here.
Hobart.
Here.
Mayor Weir.
Here. Welcome back, Councilmember Delucci. We're very happy to see you, and you look terrific.
Thank you.
We again have a very large crowd here tonight, and we're all very happy that you're here. And I just will remind people, we have a lot of things to get through. There's a lot of people who will be speaking this evening, so just please remember to be respectful of one another so that the council and the citizens can hear the discussion that's happening and maintain that so that we can conduct our business. So we're delighted to have you all here, and we'll get into our citizen requests to speak. Our first citizen is Jared Fears, who requests to speak to the council regarding the November ballot initiatives. Mr. Fears.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and council members. My name is Jared Fears. I'm a resident of Independence and currently chairperson of the Public Safety Tax Oversight Committee. Both myself and other members of the Public Safety Tax Oversight Committee have received questions about the upcoming sales and use tax ballot items that we'll be voting on in November. I know the council receives a written report from our committee, but I thought it might be helpful to you and to the citizens of Independence to comment on these ballot initiatives that we'll be voting on. I'll first talk about question 2, which, if approved, will modify the ability of the city to use the funds collected as a result of the Proposition P use tax. On August 6th, our committee held a special meeting at the request of the city manager to listen to and provide feedback on a proposal that essentially has become question 2 on the November ballot. If approved, it will maintain support of the no-kill animal shelter and provide additional funds for new and existing police and equipment from the use tax previously approved by voters with no increase in tax. When we met on August 6th, our committee unanimously passed a motion in support of essentially what we will vote on in November. And I thought it might be helpful for our citizens to know that our committee supported this plan and believe it is in the best interest of the city and will greatly benefit the police department in its ability to hire, retain, and equip the officers that endeavor to keep our city safe. In addition, I wanted to mention that at that meeting, we did not discuss the proposed additional tax for the fire department. I'm not sure we even knew about that at that time. We did, however, receive a report at our regular meeting in September from the fire union about question 1 and had the opportunity to ask questions and hear how that additional tax would be used to benefit the fire department in significant ways. Because by that time it was already on the ballot, we did not take any specific action related to the proposal for the additional fire sales tax. However, I do want to relay to you and the citizens that I'm certain our committee is committed to providing continued oversight of any actions the voters will approve in November. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next citizen is Tara Cruzy. I'm sorry, I'll get it right one day, Tara. Who wishes to speak to the council regarding public safety. Ms. Cruzy, since you've already spoken on this topic, you will have 3 minutes.
Good evening, City Council members and Madam Mayor. My name is Tara Cruzy and I reside in Sycamore Hills. I quote, "This is not 1983 and we're looking at the Sears Wish Book, the best Christmas catalog ever. Looking at the new Ewok toys that are out for Return of the Jedi. Not a single council person has any business randomly shopping for the police department and neither do citizens." End quote. The original request for police body cams came directly from the police department on April 5th, 2021, not citizens or city council. We simply stood up for our officers and backed what they need. According to a survey that council sent out, the police and safety was number 2 after lower utility costs, whereas beautification was next to last. You still aren't listening to the people and their needs. We are literally begging you for help keeping us safe, and you continuously ignore it. Not only do you ignore it, you attack citizens and officers that are begging you to listen. You work for us. I realize this job doesn't pay enough and doesn't make you famous enough, but your duty is to the citizens who elected you to do the right thing. You aren't elected to berate us and ignore us. Once again, it's independence for all, not independence for you.
Our next citizen request is from Joshua Keller. Mr. Keller, are you here someplace? I'm going to get to you in just a moment. I don't want you to think I'm overlooking you, but I am going to ask if there are any other council members who wish to speak to the council this evening before we move on. Okay. We do have. We're in citizen requests.
I'd like to put in a citizen's request.
Okay. You can come up.
Good evening, Councilman and Mayor. I appreciate you letting me come up and speak. Laura Dominic, 3525 Blue Ridge Boulevard. I just want to thank all of you for the job that you do. There is nothing easy about where you sit and what you do. We know that. We do appreciate working for our city, and I know there's items on tonight's ballot that are going to help our public safety. I'm obviously a big public safety person as I'm a former paramedic. So I also want to thank you for voting unanimously to give each of our police officers the $8,000 bonus on October 1st that you did. Bonus might not be the right phrase, but that payout, we sure appreciate that because I think that really did help with retention of our police officers and hope that we will be able to attract some more good officers to our city. I also appreciate the support of the firefighters that the comments that you've made regarding the firefighters and their needs. I think they've made a very good case for what they need, and I know you'll be supporting that as well. I also appreciate all of you for what you do because, again, it's hard to do what you do, but we appreciate when you are here, when you're listening, and you're listening to us, and you're voting. So thank you very much, and appreciate the time to speak. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who wishes to address the council? Okay. We do have an item on our consent agenda this evening, Resolution 21817. This is for an appeal of an administrative adjustment decision. This is a different process than we have had in the past. So I wanted to have a motion to suspend our rules of order to allow for the applicant to speak on this matter. He is also a non-resident. I just wanted to point that out, so we would have had to suspend the rules of order to let him speak as well. And before we vote on it, get a motion and a second and vote on that, Mr. City Manager, would you mind just sort of explaining how this process is different from what we've done in the past and how we are intending to do it in the future?
What most of the citizens in the council is going to be familiar with is a business license hearing, where if there's been some sort of disciplinary action taken against a business, that comes before the council, who would hear testimony from both the city and the business license owner or their representative, and then the council makes a final determination. Normally in a zoning case, instead, what happens is these go through the planning commission, and then they come to the city council, and it's on the front end. The case here is somebody who has gone through some of those issues and is now looking to get a different decision than what was rendered by the city and by the planning commission. So the council adopted a amendment to your Unified Development Ordinance, I think it was last month to be exact, and that calls now for the applicant to have an official process before the council where administrative relief could be granted by the council if they so choose.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Cover, do you want to give your, we had spoken prior to the meeting about the appropriateness of allowing for the applicant to speak tonight. Can you please render your opinion on that as well?
Yes, ma'am. As an appeal from the Planning and Zoning Commission, which is what this is, they are seeking a different answer than what they got at the Planning and Zoning Commission. This is part of their due process, would be the right for them to speak on this issue. I know they also submitted some materials that were included with your packet, but it certainly would be appropriate for them to be able to speak on this issue as part of their appeal.
Okay, thank you. So I would entertain a motion to suspend the rules of order to allow for Joshua Keller to address the council.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? It's in harmony up here, yeah. Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff?
Yes.
Perkins?
Yes.
Stewart?
Yes.
Delucci?
Yes.
Steinmeier?
Yes.
Hobart?
Yes.
Mayor Weir?
Yes. Okay, Mr. Keller, now you may come forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, City Council members. Since 1970, our family has locally owned and operated Keller's Turf and Shrub Care Incorporated at its current location. From day one, it has been our goal to do your best. My dad and I are both Eagle Scouts. It's a motto we believe in. I don't think it's necessary to expand on the economic benefit we have brought to our local community in the last 51 years. In regards to the specific question at hand, do we or do we not meet the applied Unified Development Ordinance in question by the city staff? The UDO has a goal of uniformity of commercialized areas and new development. As stated earlier, we are not a new development. We are existing business that has been in place prior to the current zoning laws. In fact, the city has previously rezoned us once before. We've been in existence at this location prior to all development currently surrounding our property. Through the years, we have been asked to surrender our property entirely by commercial developers, simply vacate and leave town by one former city staff member, and to donate half an acre portion of our property to go along with city planners in commercial development, which my father willingly did so. I offer this to you. We set back from 39th Street 1,412 feet. We are a third-tier placement surrounded primarily by multifamily residential. We're fully screened and well exceed the minimum requirements with mature cedar trees, pines, oaks that are in healthy condition. Our landscape screening is within 50 feet of Bolger frontage road, while the structure in question sits back 120 feet. Our neighbors have given no opposition to the outward appearance. In fact, I have 2 letters of support. Our business is a service-based company. We do not promote retail sales or customer walk-ins. Our crews leave in the morning and return at the end of the day. It is imperative our assets, our trucks, trailers, equipment, remain in good working order on a daily basis from theft and vandalism. Security fences, video surveillance, security systems all fall short at some point in time. Unfortunately, Our police officers are overwhelmed the majority of the time. So a decision was made by me on what to do, what I felt was best to provide for my customers and my employees that I'm responsible for. Storing our assets inside of a secured building has unfortunately become the only option. This structure was designed to meet our needs, both short-term and long-term. It's a structure we can afford to purchase, properly maintain, and stay in business for years to come. I will continue to operate my business how I see it needs to be operated to continue supporting the well-being of those employed by my business. I will continue to roll forward. I am not, nor was I ever in a position to wait on pandemic circumstances or lack of communication. Our customers have high expectations, and I intend on delivering those commitments. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes our citizen requests. Brings us to our consent agenda. Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes, I move to approve the reports and recommendations of the city manager.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any items any council members wish pulled for separate consideration?
Madam Mayor,
Yes?
item 1 is the council action that I thought was going to be delayed.
Yes?
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I understood that.
Yes. Would you like to pull that one?
Yes, please.
Okay. And I will pull Resolution 21-817.
Madam Mayor.
Yes.
Number 1.
Oh, Karen just pulled that one.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't hear. Sorry.
Okay. Any others? Okay, please call the roll on the consent agenda minus item number 1 and Resolution 21-817.
Councilmembers Huff,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Delucci,
Yes.
Steinmeier.
Yes.
Hobart,
Yes.
Mayor Weir.
Yes. Councilmember Delucci, item number 1.
Madam Mayor, as I understood it, we were going to postpone this indefinitely because there was a question on whether the water was going forward. As I understand, water is not going forward. So I just don't know if we need to deny it or table it forever.
So the motion was to postpone it for 2 weeks, not to postpone it indefinitely, so that's why it's back on the agenda tonight to pending some action, but you are correct that the applicant has withdrew in Sugar Creek, so we do need to take some action on it, but it really is a moot point. Councilman Huff, did you have something else you wanted to say on that?
Yes. So I would like to know what the discussion is with Sugar Creek on this matter now. I've been to all the meetings. I'm just wanting to get an update, if I could, please.
Yeah, sure. Council member and mayor and members of the council. Our water department staff has been in communication with their peers, city staff and city of Sugar Creek. They conveyed to us what you have heard as well, that the application has been withdrawn. They don't have any additional information on if they intend to bring it back, but under the Sugar Creek City Code, if this had been voted down, they would have had to wait a year to bring it back. So the company, reserve the right to bring it back, but we don't have any additional information on if they intend to bring it back or if this was just a reading the writing on the wall and withdrawing because they felt like the support wasn't there.
So you're wanting to be, I guess, proactive with this and do this so you have it there and ready?
Yeah, we had this been approved at that level. There still would have been some additional votes that would have had to have occurred by their governing body to finalize this. So we wanted to get this one teed up in case that looked like it was getting legs, but now that it's withdrawn, in agreement with the point you made last week that we don't necessarily need to expend the ratepayers' dollars here to do this study since it doesn't look like the project's going forward at this time.
So have we ever had a study out there, or when was the last one we had for, I know we've had some issues with Sugar Creek on the water.
Yeah, the last study that we had done was the late 90s to early 2000s in that time frame right there. The difference with this one, though, would have been some of the blasting that was proposed to be taking place, and the study would have really focused in on what impact that could have had on the nearby water aquifers that service our residents and many others.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I moved.
Councilmember Delucci, would you like to make a motion?
I'd simply suggest a no.
Okay. So we'll make a motion to, let me ask Mr. City Manager, would it be, in case this does come back, perhaps the motion should be to postpone this indefinitely?
Yeah, if the council would be willing, we could
Yeah.
postpone indefinitely and then
Okay.
again, have this waiting in the wings.
Okay. So
Absolutely. I move approval indefinitely.
okay, so the motion is to postpone indefinitely. Is there a second? Okay. Any further discussion?
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Just want to clarify,
Yeah.
Does Sugar Creek have any studies that they've done that they're willing to allow us to look at?
No, there were no studies available from the city of Sugar Creek related to this.
Okay, thank you. And this will go to the aldermen, not back to them? That's my understanding.
Correct.
That it'll go to the Board of Aldermen.
Should it advance, should they make a new application, it would go to that Board of Aldermen, correct, council member?
Okay,
Uh-huh.
thank you.
Yes.
One other thing.
I'm not.
On this study,
Please
how
straighten
long,
me out.
what's the time span to do this study? Are we looking at 60 days, 90 days, 6 months?
Yeah, 60 to 90 days.
60, 90 days, okay. So we'd have plenty of time if they come to us, okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff,
Yes.
Perkins.
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Delucci,
Yes.
Steinmeier,
Yes.
Hobart,
Yes.
Mayor Weir.
Yes, motion passes. Okay, Resolution 21-817, which is the case that we just heard from Mr. Keller on. I would make a motion for approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, please call
Madam-
it. Oh, yes.
I'm sorry. I've not been around for a couple of months. I apologize. The resolution approving the appeal of the adjustment decision, does that enforce the UDO or does that ignore the UDO?
Mr. City Manager?
If approval were granted to the administrative adjustment, Councilwoman Delucci, it would be an amendment or relief from the UDO, so it would be not in conformance with the UDO as written.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Is there any discussion?
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
First of all, I'd like to just thank the family that established the business 50 years ago in our city, has paid many taxes. Business been around longer than most employees of the city have been alive. So they're a generator of revenue for our city, for payroll, for benefits. And let's keep in mind that we've been in a tough time with the pandemic. The city was shut down quite a bit. People work from home. There was some frustrations at several different levels in our city. And I have to trust an Eagle Scout that he would not do anything that would get him in trouble. And so, but I understand too, having come out of a small business family, that, you know, there are times where you have to do what you have to do to protect your assets, to make sure that the things that you work hard are protected and secure. And I'm sure they've lost a lot of sleepless nights over the last year trying to meet payroll, keep people paid, and move their business forward even at a difficult time. And sometimes our city has not been the best friends of small business. And I just would like to see us figure out how we're going to support small business moving forward. And in this case, I hope that our council will allow this business to continue moving forward. I've seen the building. It's hard to even see from the road. It's well done, and I would like to be in support of this small business here in Independence.
Any other discussion?
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
thank you for your comments, Councilman Steinmeier. I would disagree with most of that, but what I will add to the record here that is going to help sway my understanding is the two letters that we have, one from Apple Tree Condos Association and also from the CFO managing partner for the surrounding community there. So with those two letter submissions and putting other facts in there is helping me form my decision. So I just wanted to get that there.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff.
Yes.
Perkins.
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
Delucci.
No.
Steinmeier.
Yes.
Hobart.
No.
Mayor Weir.
Yes. Resolution passes. Our first public hearing is for the application by Michaela Miller requesting a rezoning from I-1 industrial to R6 single-family residential for the property located at 1001 West Hayward Avenue. This is new information only. Mr. Arroyo.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. My name is Rick Arroyo, the Assistant Community Development Director here at the city. This rezoning application was considered by Planning Commission on September 14th. The Planning Commission did recommend in favor of it. This rezoning does allow the new property owner to obtain a loan to rehabilitate the existing structure with some repairs. I have no new information to add.
Okay, this is new information only, or is there any comments or questions from the council on the public hearing? Public hearing is closed. Madam City Clerk.
Bill number 21-068, an ordinance approving a rezoning from District I-1 Industrial to District R6 Single Family Residential for 1001 West Hayward Avenue in Independence, Missouri. Second and final reading.
Is there any discussion on this bill?
Madam Mayor.
Yes, Councilmember Perkins.
Thank you, Mayor. This for the city manager. So we were out there a couple of weeks ago, maybe last week actually, and we spent about $200 picking up the debris and stuff that was in front of that place. Is there a better process that we can do to look at that if there's going to be an applicant for a zoning change or whatever the case may be, that if there's debris, rubbish, whatnot that's in front of that house, that we can suspend whatever that process is until that is picked up to an orderly fashion?
I will work with our staff to see how easily, in my mind it seems easy, but let's make sure it's easy to implement, to cross-check the applicant list and just do a quick proactive code check. You know, the officer whose district that is, maybe do a quick proactive code check prior to it coming before the commission or the council and make sure we're in conformance there. If there aren't major hurdles, then yeah, I think that's absolutely something we could implement. The other thing we'll want to check is make sure there's no interference with due process. And I'm not saying there would be, just make sure that we've checked all of our boxes there. But point well taken.
Thank you.
Is there any further discussion on this bill? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff.
Yes.
Perkins.
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
Delucci.
Yes.
Steinmeier.
Yes.
Hobart.
Yes.
Mayor Weir.
Yes. Ordinance passes. Our next public hearing is for the application by Pamela Wells requesting a special use permit to operate a bed and breakfast at 1 Hawthorne Place. This is new information only. Mr. Arroyo.
Thank you again, Mayor and members of the council. This special use was considered by Planning Commission on September 14th. Also, Planning Commission did recommend in favor of this special use permit. This will actually allow the current owner to operate this as a bed and breakfast. The house was in the past actually used as a bed and breakfast as well. I have no new information.
Okay. Are there any comments or questions from the council on the public hearing? Public hearing is closed. Madam City Clerk.
Bill number 21-069, an ordinance approving a special use permit to operate a bed and breakfast at 1 Hawthorne Place in Independence, Missouri. Second and final reading.
Is there any discussion on this bill? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff.
Yes.
Perkins.
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
Delucci.
Yes.
Steinmeier.
Yes.
Hobart.
Yes.
Mayor Weir.
Yes. Ordinance passes. Our next public hearing is for an application received from Phoenix Nail Lounge Independence, LLC, for a retail selling of intoxicating liquor by the drink license for their business at 2329 South M291 Highway. This is a full public hearing. Mr. Scannell.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. My name is Tom Scannell. I'm the Community Development Director. Phoenix Nail is seeking a liquor license. This is a salon that wishes to serve alcoholic beverages to their paying customers. This property is within 300 feet of residential, thus the need for the public hearing on this case. And that concludes staff's presentation.
Okay, this is a full public hearing. Is there anyone here wishing to speak in favor of this application? Is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Are there any comments or questions from the council on the public hearing?
I
Yes.
do have one, Madam Mayor.
Yes.
Mr. Scannell, is this only for serving customers at the location, or is it also going to be like packaged liquor and a liquor store type deal?
No, this is a drink license, so it's only serving the drink to the patron. So a customer comes in, the stylist offers the customer a drink, and that's how it operates. So there's no packaged liquor that's being sold here.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Mr. Scannell, are there other salons in Independence that have the ability to do this? I mean, is this something that people do? I mean, you go get that they offer you a drink, a glass of wine. Is that something that we have seen in the past?
This is something new that
Okay.
I have seen, so I would expect as more businesses
Okay.
operate the similar fashion, that they would be coming forward as well.
Okay, thank you very much. But this is the first application that we've seen of this type?
That's correct, yeah,
Okay.
to my knowledge, yes.
Okay, very good, thank you. And is this for purchase, or is it just offer them a beverage?
It's a complimentary drink.
Okay, very good, thank you. Okay, are there any other questions from the council on the public hearing? Okay, the public hearing is closed. Madam City Clerk.
Council action is requested on the application from Phoenix Nail Lounge Independence LLC for a retail selling of intoxicating liquor by the drink license for their business at 2329 South M291 Highway.
Is there any discussion on this bill? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff?
Yes.
Perkins?
Yes.
Stewart?
Yes.
Delucci?
Yes.
Steinmeier?
Yes.
Hobart?
Yes.
Mayor Weir?
Yes. Ordinance passes. We have two non-ordinance action items this evening. Madam City Clerk.
Bill number 21-818, a resolution directing the city manager to amend the American Recovery Plan funding plan by reducing funding for the Uptown Market loan repayment and reallocating said funds for the ShotSpotter pilot program and a Vertra de-escalation training simulator for the police department.
Is there any discussion on this item?
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Councilman Stewart.
as I started to last week before it got postponed to this week, I want to try to make an amendment on this to remove the ShotSpotter pilot program from this and just keep the virtual de-escalation training simulator.
Okay, is there a second?
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion to remove the ShotSpotter? Okay, hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff?
Yes.
Perkins? Stewart?
Yes.
Deluci?
Yes.
Steinmeier?
Yes.
Hobart?
Yes.
Mayor Weir?
Yes, motion passes. Is there any discussion on item number 1 as amended? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff?
Yes.
Perkins?
No.
Stewart?
Yes.
Deluci?
No.
Steinmeier?
Yes.
Hobart?
No.
Mayor Weir?
No, item number 1 fails. Item number 2.
Bill number 21-819, a resolution directing the city manager to amend the American Rescue Plan funding plan by reducing funding for the City Hall security and citizen interaction improvements and reallocating said funds for one-time expenditures for essential equipment needs in the police and fire departments.
Is there any discussion on this bill?
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Councilman Stewart.
Mr. City Manager, can you kind of explain what we're taking the money away from in more detail for the security and citizen interaction improvements?
Yeah, for those that are familiar with City Hall, there's a couple of, well, the building was obviously built several years ago, so there's some logistical challenges, and then just the flow of the building itself isn't always the most customer-friendly to the building. So what that project had proposed was addressing some of those security and logistical issues. And they tell me in the interest of safety to not point out what those logistical issues are, so we don't advertise those. But we were going to try to address some of those and make the building a little safer for both the employees and for the customers who come in here. But having, obviously seen the discussion the last few weeks from the council and the priority of addressing some of our public safety needs, asked the fire chief and the police chief to provide us with some feedback about what some of those one-time expenditures could be that we could utilize those funds for. So we had proposed reducing this down just to the amount of what we had spent so far on this project, which was about $25,000, and allocating the other remaining balance, $350,000, to support those one-time purchases in the police and fire departments, respectfully.
Okay, so since the police department and the fire department state they need this equipment, I'm going to vote yes on it, although I would really like to vote no just because of the politics that were played on the previous ordinance, but that's all right. I'll be voting yes.
Any further discussion?
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
got a couple of questions as I read through the agenda item cover sheet. First of all, I want to clear something up, that when we proposed amendments a few council meetings back, prior to the meeting, 3 council members made a call to our city manager, and we discussed what we were wanting to amend, because we wanted to ensure that these were things that did fall into a usage category for the funds, and that it did not add any additional costs or down the road costs. Mr. City Manager, do you recall that conversation with us?
I recall the conversation, but not necessarily the same degree of what you just spoke to.
Did we ask you if these amended items were acceptable under the terms?
My memory was asking how much had been allocated, what the balance was for each item that had been approved in the June 21st spending plan, and how much was still yet to come in from the federal government.
And we did talk about that, so I'll give you that, but you don't recall us asking if these items would, if it was appropriate to amend the spending, if these would be something that we could amend, and if it would fall under that one-time cost.
Not offhand, I don't, but I apologize if we did.
Okay, so I've got 2 other council members. I asked earlier if they remembered that conversation. They do. So I just wanted to ask, the one-time monetary contribution, $8,000 per person. We also, we're at 1.4 million on that. Is that correct?
1.475 million.
1.47. Okay, so now, and the one-time signing incentive to new recruits brings it up to 179.
Yeah, that was about $350,000.
Is that going to be ongoing in terms of when we bring new recruits in? Are we going to do retaining bonuses? We're going to do sign-on bonuses? Or is this just a one-time shot for the candidates we have right now?
Yeah, sorry. The 1.475 million was $8,000 per existing officer today. So that's how we arrived at that number. So that was one-time program only.
Mm-hmm.
The $350,000 is to be used to recruit new officers, and we'll, they're for the first ones to sign on, and then there are no ongoing funds to continue that program after that. But the idea was to try to get the existing vacancies filled within the department.
And I'm not trying to put you on the hot seat. I'm just trying to
Sure.
resolve what we thought we were approving was a 1.4, and now we're at 1.79, and that's fine. I recall the conversation about the sign-on bonuses with new, but it wasn't clear if this is going to be a continuation, or if this this is the pool of money. Once we use it, that's it.
Yeah, that was part of the MOU that was negotiated between my office and the FOP that was approved back on September 7th.
Okay. And then also, I think the city's been through enough in terms of trying to further address priority of public safety as addressed in here. Couple other questions though. For the fire department, we're allocating $193,769. That's the shortfall cost from the funds that are available through the sales tax?
Correct.
So we have a ladder truck that we would like to order, but we don't have the funds to do so, correct?
Yeah, that was part of the capital improvements budget for the fire department that was approved by council this year in the budget.
Right. Okay, so this will allow for one purchase of one ladder.
Correct.
And so we really don't need approval of that sales tax fund because we're going to make up the shortfall should we vote yes for this tonight.
Well, the sales tax budget was approved when the council voted on the budget on June 21st. This would allocate additional funds to make the fire department whole in terms of purchasing that. But then that final purchase order will have to be approved by the council when they're ready to issue that.
Okay, so all I'm trying to do is get to the number that's available to us through the sales tax funds. So sales tax started in 2004.
Right.
How much money's been generated up to date on that?
I don't have that in front of me.
Somewhere around 2 million, maybe?
Well, that's what comes in annually.
Okay. And so just for transparency, we have no capital improvements that come out of the general fund. So we have to have this sales tax increase to buy equipment, station improvements, all the things that Chief Short has come up here and told us, not that we're going to need, that we do need it. Correct?
The fire sales tax helps supplement what's in the general fund, which is, yes, not sufficient to meet the needs of the department, correct?
But there's no capital improvements that comes out of the general fund?
No, there's some, but it's a very modest amount, and I don't have the exact dollar amount in front of me right now, though.
Okay.
Sorry.
So what do you think the increased revenue from year to year from 2004 to now, what have we seen?
It's pretty flat.
Is it about
Correct.
25,000?
It's not increased much at all. And of course, then the purchasing power has decreased just as inflation's gone up over that 20-year period.
I appreciate your cooperation. I'm not trying to put you on the hot spot.
All good.
I have said from the beginning, the whole reason why we tried to amend is to play catch up with
Sure.
the money that we had. And some on this council believe that was a good use of funds to try to catch up, buy equipment, look at ways to free up this sales tax money because we need improvements to a station, we need a new station, we need a remodel. We've got Station 5 that has numerous issues, and at the rate we're going with a pretty flat performing tax, how are we going to get this done? And listen, we set the expectations, we just ask you to go get results. And sometimes the council gives you tools to do so, and the tool being money, and sometimes they don't. But the expectations don't go away. We still want results in terms of improved public safety. And I know that puts you in the hot seat, and I've told you, our job in this council is to make you successful. Sometimes we do a good job, sometimes we don't. And I think at this point, we've kind of failed you. But our expectations are the same. We want the results for improved public safety. We want our firefighters to have what they need, the police to have what they need. And so I'm going to support this, but I am disappointed that we couldn't do better, elected not to do better. But that's the way it goes.
Is there any further discussion on item number 2? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff,
Yes.
Perkins.
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Delucci,
Yes.
Steinmeier,
Yes.
Hobart,
Yes.
Mayor Ware.
Yes. Item number 2 passes. Okay, this brings us to our first readings, and we do have one emergency this evening. Madam City Clerk.
Bill number 21-070, an ordinance authorizing a contract with Lina Weaver Construction, Inc. for the installation of an 8-inch diameter ductile iron water main for the Gudgel Avenue Water Main Replacement Capital Improvement Project for an amount not to exceed $1,165,500, authorizing minor change orders for an amount not to exceed $116,550, and/or time extensions and increasing appropriations. Bill number 21-071, an ordinance authorizing a contract with Truman Heritage Habitat for Humanity for the administration of home repair program for low to moderate income homeowners utilizing 2021-2022 CDBG program funds in an amount not to exceed $371,514. Bill number 21-072, an ordinance amending the Unified Development Ordinance, Chapter 14 of the Independent City Code pertaining to recommended trees and plants. Bill number 21-073, an ordinance approving a special use permit to operate a vehicle sales lot at 908 North Atherton Road in Independence, Missouri. Bill number 21-513, an ordinance authorizing the borrowing of not to exceed $12 million from the Missouri Development Finance Board in connection with the refinancing of certain costs related to construction of a multi-purpose event center, approving the form of and authorizing the execution of a supplemental financing agreement relating thereto with the Missouri Development Finance Board, providing for the administration of a certain special allocation funds previously created by the city, prescribing other matters relating thereto, and declaring an emergency. Bill number 21-513, an ordinance authorizing the borrowing of not to exceed $12 million from the Missouri Development Finance Board in connection with the refinancing of certain costs related to construction of a multi-purpose event center, approving the form of and authorizing the execution of a supplemental financing agreement relating thereto with the Missouri Development Finance Board, providing for the administration of certain special allocation funds previously created by the city, and prescribing other matters relating thereto, and declaring an emergency. Second and final reading.
Is there any discussion on this bill? Hearing none.
Yes.
Oh, yes, go ahead.
Yeah, can we talk a little bit more about this, Mr. City Manager? What exactly is this?
I'm going to ask our Finance Director, Brian Kidney, to come up and give you a little bit more of a quick summary, but while he's making his way up, just generally, this is the debt that was associated with the construction of the Independence Event Center, which we now know as the Cable Dahmer Arena, with still the favorable interest rates in the market. We've been trying to take advantage of those to save on our overall debt service payment long-term. So this is another opportunity to do that, and Brian can give you a little bit more of the background on what we're seeing here in the market.
Sure. Thank you. Brian Kidney, the Director of Finance Administration. We have seen, obviously, the interest rates, as you all have seen, been very low. We have 2 bonds that are available for refunding, both the 2011 and then the 2015 we're seeing later this year. Just like anyone would refinance their mortgage, it's simply what we're doing. We're not changing really any of the structure of this debt issue. We're just going out, issuing new debt, taking the proceeds from that debt, pay off the higher interest debt, and then continually to make the debt service payments. We've kept the cash flow, the annual cash flow, similar over the next several years. The difference is we took off the last 3 years of debt. So where they used to have the bonds were paying out until 2034, now they'll pay out to 2031. So in doing so, I think I have that in here, is a net savings to the city of close to $4 million.
Okay. So this is an emergency because you got to get it to roll for the interest rate. Is that why it's an emergency?
Sure. Well, the reason it's an emergency, this is, it's timing the market. So the sale itself is going to be taking place over the next week or two. And so we would need to get the authorizations in place before we do those sales before the next council meeting.
I know there's another council member that hates emergencies, she's voiced her opinion many a time. So I'm just wondering, It's just come about, or?
Sure, yeah, so, and just like we just did on our last set, we did this, I believe 2 months ago for our sewer debt transaction, where we also had a really good savings. Again, it's just the bond council asked us to make that approval and have it on one evening so we can lock in those appropriations and then move forward.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, is there any further discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff?
Yes.
Perkins?
Yes.
Stewart?
Yes.
Delucci?
Yes.
Steinmeier?
Yes.
Hobart?
Yes.
Mayor Ware?
Yes. Ordinance passes. Under our information only tonight, we have reports from our citizen oversight committees on our streets improvements tax, our public safety tax, the Independence Park Commission, which oversees our parks tax, our stormwater, tourism, and Jackson County Animal Welfare, which partially oversees our existing Prop P tax for the animal shelter, as well as reports from the Nolan Road and Square Community Improvement District. So as you can see, we have a lot going on. We have many citizens involved with these volunteer roles to help ensure that these funds that are voter approved are well cared for. So just wanted to draw the public's attention to that, as well as our COVID-19 semi-monthly update, which we still have COVID. So things are looking better on that front, and we hope to continue to see a positive trend with the COVID-19 infection rate. So that brings us to council member comments. I'm going to go out of order and go straight to council member Delucci first.
Thank you so much, Madam Mayor. I miss our town and I miss our people. I want to thank everyone for prayers, for thoughts, and best wishes. I am so happy to be involved tonight, and I hope to be there within 2 weeks.
Okay. We look forward to having you back, and we've all been missing you. Great concern for you, your family, and your continued good health. So nice for you to be with us tonight. Councilman Huff.
Yes, I just have one thing. I wanted to, it's taken a while, but got a temporary fence around the Salvation Army. I think it got there Wednesday. Appreciate staff getting that finally done. It's been since July, but I visited quite a few times this weekend at 23rd Lee Summit. No dumping outside. I'm sure it's going to take a few more weeks, but hopefully we'll see not so many clothes and bedding at every corner of the city. But appreciate staff, Mr. City Manager, for taking care of that.
Councilman Perkins.
Thank you, Mayor. I invited a group here today who's kind of helping out, cleaning up, and doing their part in their little corner of the world. Coupled with that was a great article in the Independent Examiner about volunteerism, and I promised I didn't get with the Examiner to make this meeting happen, but I would encourage everybody to take a look at the Examiner talking about Independence Live and Well, and Muriel Ludman, who's organizing that to help getting cleanups and different organizations together for that. But specifically tonight, about a year ago, give or take, there was a neighborhood organization that got together and formed a cleanup in a work area for East 9th Street South. Let me get that right. The corner of South Ash Avenue and East 9th Street South. And here's some before pictures of what that looked like. So they organized the neighborhood. We had some city leaders there, city folks there. I believe Zach and his wife was there. And Becky, I think you were there helping out. And Dan Montgomery was there helping out. And so this is what it looks like now today. There's 2 lots there that's continually mowed and cleaned up, and trash that is picked up. So the folks that are doing that, Jane Sanders is one of the organizers over there, but her son, Austin, and I'm gonna have you guys stand up here in a second, her son, Austin, and his 2 kids, William, 12, and Avery, 9, are out there working and picking this stuff up every couple of weeks, and I wish I had it, but there's a picture of Avery riding a 52-inch zero-turn mower that would look pretty cool up here on the big screen. So we kind of did some calculations on what that little corner saves the city annually, and it's about $2,200 a year, give or take. That doesn't count gas and wear and tear on your motor. So about $2,200 a year is what they're doing to save Independence a little bit of money, keeping that looking good, keeping the vagrants in the trash and some of the other stuff that goes down into that rail bridge. So thank you. So please stand up. I can't tell you, but I gave him a little big thank you before the meeting, so enjoy those and thank you. And also, that's one side of the railroad tracks. On the other side of the railroad tracks, we have Doug and Peggy Auld, who helped take care of the lot that's a couple doors down, along with Alan Keene, and I forgot your wife's name. She's going to kill me. Thank you. So they've been taking care of this lot right next to them, and we took this house down probably 3 years or so ago. So the dollar amount per year is a little less because it's one lot, but it's about $2,100 and about the same amount in the gas. So thank you for taking care of that, keeping that yard and that lot looking good. And Doug and Peggy, since you've been such community leaders and you've been here for a year and a day, the mayor has a special token that she would like to give to you, the Mayor's Challenge coin. If you'd like to come up and receive that. I know you guys don't like the praise, but we're going to give it to you anyway.
So as you make your way up here, Doug and Peggy, I've known both of you since probably the day I set foot in Independence, and you have been incredible neighborhood leaders, community leaders for so many years, and I'm just amazed by your energy and your commitment and keeping it going and organizing your neighbors and inspiring these young people and their children to care so much about their neighborhood. So I did want to present you with the Mayor's Challenge coin for an Exemplary Act. It has a nice little quote on the back here from President Truman that says, "Actions are the seed of fate, deeds grow into destiny." So I'm proud to present you with this tonight.
I'll keep it going if you don't mind, Mayor.
Okay, all right.
So thank you, everyone, for all that you're doing and all your work that you're doing. There's a lot of great organizations and communities out there that are taking charge. Second one, Third Friday Art Walk last Friday at Inglewood was pretty spectacular and awesome. Great turnout. Small businesses is coming back around. We're doing things well. It was great to have that support over there. Four Corners Frame Art had a great evening with Mike Frankel, who has some great photos, and he's there on a kind of a permanent basis showing his classic rock art. So it was a really good time. So things are going and things are doing good. So appreciate everybody's help, and let's just keep Independence moving forward.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Stewart.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I noticed in the information only that you had took a trip to Salt Lake City, Utah.
Yes.
Can I ask you some questions about that?
Sure.
Were you the only one that attended, or was there somebody else?
No, the city manager and I are invited to attend that event by the Kansas City Chamber of Commerce, on which I serve on the board of. They take, I say annual, obviously they didn't do it last year, but we are invited to attend that trip on behalf of the City of Independence, and the cost of that trip is subsidized for us by some corporate sponsors.
Okay. So the $2,300 the city had to pay for, though, correct?
Probably, yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Did that include both you and the
report,
city
yes.
manager, or was that just for you?
Pardon me?
Was that you and the city manager, or was that just for you?
I don't recall, Mr.
Okay,
City
okay.
Manager. I mean, I think it's for both of us because I think my.
I just had some questions from constituents that were curious
Okay.
about it. That's all.
Yep.
Okay, well, that's all I really had. And I just look forward to, I hope you'll talk more about that, and I look forward to seeing what you learned out there while you were there.
Okay.
And then I just want to, Karen, thank you. I'm so glad you're back, and that's all I got. Thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Steinmeier.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councilmember Delucci, we miss you, and we're glad to see you. You look great. And I just want to say thank you to the community that goes above and beyond to make this city work. Part of, if you notice, we're in the last year of this strategic plan, and part of the quality is reducing blight, people working together make that happen. Improve visual appearance by cleaning, that happens, the neighborhoods, the areas, your parks. Improve public infrastructure facilities. Well, that might need some more work, but we're working on it. Enhance public health. Whenever we clean up our community, you have no idea the public health benefits to that, and the cost of this city to have to clean up. One of these study sessions, I hope that the city manager will review with us the cost that this city incurs to clean up after our homelessness and the health risks that it proposes. Also, stabilize, revitalize neighborhoods. People work very hard to keep their community safe. They mobilize, they take the time to do so. This city works because of people like you. It's not us, it's you. And you need to know that. I think that we've accomplished one thing in terms of public safety on one of these quality issues. It says the increased perception of safety. Perception of safety. I hope that with the monies that have been given to public safety, that we don't operate on perception, that we get to the reality. We want the reality of public safety. So that's my hope. We'll keep speaking truth. We'll keep knocking on the door. We want to make sure that our public servants, our first responders, have all they need to go home at night. We'll keep this conversation alive. This I can promise you. We've got a lot to do, a lot of catching up. And I'm committed to making sure that whatever we can do as a city in terms of budget and money, we do what we have to do to catch up. Mr. City Manager, I'd like for the Parks Department to give us some type of update very soon. I think there's some questions I have for them, and I'd like to address those at some point.
Yeah, if you'll send those to me, we can be prepared to answer those.
No problem. But again, for everybody who's believing for a better tomorrow for our city, to make Independence a great place, that's our goal. That's what we all want. And I stand with you in that. So thank you for your efforts.
Thank you. Councilman Hobart.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I've got three things to mention tonight. One is in the vein of Councilmember Perkins' comments for his folks that cleaned up their neighborhood. Apparently there is a citizen initiative called Independence is Alive and Well. I'm guessing they're on Facebook or Nextdoor probably. But they went out and cleaned up Rotary Park and Country Club Park, or at least the trail in between them. And I know that's been a source of homelessness, of ATVs and motorized vehicles, and it's sort of a constant struggle for the city to keep up with. And I just wanted to send my thanks to them. And those are some folks that really got out and spent some hours and cleaned up the town a little bit and made those parks nice for a little bit. So I sure am thankful for them. The second thing I want to mention was Independence police officer who is also a school resource officer at Truman High School, Jeff Nunn. He was a year behind me at Truman. I saw him swim many times because I had a real good friend that was a swimmer. He was a rock star swimmer and apparently is a rock star runner because he finished 88th in his age group, 45 to 49, in the Boston Marathon. At under 7-minute miles at our age. I could drive that, obviously, but not much else. So anyway, I'll give him a high five when I see him next, but what a cool thing to individual accomplishment. That's huge. The final thing is for my dear friend, colleague, and fellow council member, Karen Delucci. I won't reveal too much. She is originally from Scranton, Pennsylvania. And all I'm authorized to say is she is now coal-fired. She's had some upgrades down there in Florida. So
Yes, I have.
yeah, yes, she has. She finally got coal stuck inside of her heart. So she's ready to roll, and we look forward to seeing you in a couple weeks. That's
you.
it. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Stewart, thank you for asking about the trip. I was going to just talk briefly about it in my comments this evening. I will provide the city clerk with our itinerary as well as the list of delegates who attended. So if anybody is interested in looking at that, then that's certainly available. Briefly, there were about 150 individuals who were invited on this annual trip this year from many communities across the region, including several other mayors. Mayor Ross from Blue Springs, the Mayor Pro Tem from Lee Summit, the Mayor of Grandview, the Mayor of Lenexa. Who am I missing? There were a few others. So it's a great trip. It's a jam-packed agenda, a day, about 2.5 days that we are on this trip. Some of the topics that I particularly participated in were regarding public transit and looking at Utah and Salt Lake City's regional transit funding plan and operations. A lot of my time was spent looking at that. Councilman Steinmeier, I know, is very familiar with the area, and there was a lot to learn. There was a lot of discussion about diversity, equity, and inclusion. We had lots of sessions about regional strategic planning, and it's really a wonderful opportunity for us to spend with other people around our entire region who are also dealing with many of the same issues that we talked about tonight, that we talk about every single week, and learning from each other and also from another community. So I always find these trips to be very valuable. Independence, pre-pandemic, did similar types of leadership trips. We are going, those were primarily organized by the EDC and Chamber of Commerce, but the city has played a role, and we're exploring the possibility of doing some of those, one of those trips next year. I know Councilmember Delucci has attended in the past. Councilmember Perkins has attended in the past, and they're really valuable to spend time with people in your community, really digging deep into some issues and learning lessons from others as well. So anyway, I'll provide that to the clerk. So if anybody's interested in seeing what we're doing in Salt Lake City, we'll let you know. I would like to, again, on the topic of public safety, one that is very near and dear to my heart that I've worked on for many, many years to improve the safety of our community in various ways. I would be remiss in saying we do have an election coming up on November 2nd, as Mr. Fears talked about earlier this evening, both for our police and fire departments, question 1 and question 2. And certainly our needs are great. We need resources to fund those so that we can hire and retain the very best people to protect our community, protect our families, our homes, our businesses, and provide them with the equipment that they need to do that to the best of our ability. So there's still several opportunities to hear presentations up until November 2nd if you have not. If you would like to hear a presentation, please contact us, and we will do our best to make sure that one is arranged. And I encourage you to educate yourself on these issues and come out on November 2nd and support our police and fire departments. Mr. City Manager, anything else this evening?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
We are adjourned.